now it's time for This Week in Come Follow Me. And so there's this big trend going around. You introduced me to it, but we listen and we don't judge, right? And so and I agree to some extent. So I think we should not judge people, but I disagree with the fact that we should not judge actions, because I do think that there are actions that we should judge to help us navigate, whether that's something that we should incorporate into our lives or distance ourselves from. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we just watched the Tuttle Twins episode about judging. So highly recommend. Tuttle Twins for the win. You're doing great. But what you should not judge is, you shouldn't judge people based on immutable characteristics, things they can't change about themselves. Color, disability. You shouldn't judge those things. What you should judge people on is their ideas, their opinion, their potential, and their use of that potential. That's the things that you should judge them on. And judging people, judging things is an innate, it comes innately to those people with, sentience. You have to judge things as you're going. If you don't make any judgments in your life, then you can't progress. Every day when you're getting up and you're choosing which lane to drive in, that's a judgment call. Choosing what food to eat. Choosing who to interact with is just an equally valid, judgment. You have to make some kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you have to sum up people in your mind with the knowledge that you have, the information that's given to you, and you have to make some kind of decision. Are you going to be someone that I can interact with or not? And how will our interaction benefit us? Will it produce good or will it produce bad? And I think that a lot of people, there's this whole trend about not judging.
Yeah.
You do you, be you, your truth. That's just not realistic. And what that does is allows evil to run rampant, because evil is only stayed by, people who form judgments about it and who decide to abstain from it.
And who stand against it,
And who stand against it, yeah.
It's absolutely. That's the primary way how evil is overcome, is by people standing against evil, taking an active stance against it, calling it what it is, and saying, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to tolerate that anymore.
Every 100%. Time you do an evil thing, somebody else says, well, I'm not going to judge you on that. Well, and no one's holding you to a standard that you then grow to.
Yeah.
It's a rude thing, and it's not love to hold no expectations for somebody, to be, judgment free.
Well, one thing that I think we forget is that in the pre-earth life, the battle in heaven was not a battle of physical swords and shields. It wasn't a battle of bows and arrows. It was a battle of ideas and ideologies. And that battle is continued on this earth. And so it's you were absolutely judging ideas and ideologies back in the pre-earth existence, and you should still be judging ideas and ideologies here, and where those ideas will lead you. And you should be considering them. And the great lie in the Garden of Eden, right? So you've got the serpent, and it goes up to Eve, and the serpent basically says, a knowledge of good and evil will make you like the gods, right? That was the great lie, because a knowledge of good and evil will not make you like the gods. It's discerning good from evil that makes you like the gods. And so it's not shunning, it's not rejecting, it's not it's not like refusing to look at evil or anything like that. It's looking it dead in the eye, calling it what it is, and saying, that's evil, this is good, and I'm going to choose the good, even though I could choose the evil. And I do think it's also important to call out some of the language, because I do think we've lost some ground with language. I think a lot of people today, they use kind of the idea of good and bad. They're like, hey, the Moroni says everything that's good comes from God, everything that's bad doesn't. And I disagree. The word is actually evil. It's good and evil. And that's the words that the scriptures repeat. And so I looked into the definitions. The definition for bad means more or less not failing to meet a standard,
Yeah.
So it's failing to meet some kind of a standard, but that presupposes that you are striving to meet the standard at some level. It's still, there's an element of striving within that. And I think that's really important to call out because, for example, if you see somebody coming to church, like a deacon coming to church and he's wearing a blue shirt, heaven forfend, or a purple shirt. Oh no.
Oh yeah. That's evil right there.
That,
Jeez.
you should not go and attack that poor deacon. You should not go and say like, how dare you? It's like, that is not going to help him. It might be in your perspective, that might be bad, but that is not evil. The definition of evil is something that is profoundly immoral. And so like wearing a purple shirt on Sunday, not profoundly immoral. Is it disrespectful?
Not a problem.
Maybe, and so that's something that you should be considering before you go out and just start dropping Cain wherever you can. It's like, yeah. So just being aware of that, like I feel like a lot of language has been corrupted in our day, and there's been a lot of slipping of that language. And so remembering that, like, if someone is striving, if someone like that deacon, he's showing up, he's there,
Yeah.
he's keeping himself worthy enough to pass the sacrament. He's going to figure that out at some point. It's not evil. It might be considered bad in your mind, but that does not mean that you should go that came from the devil.
Exactly.
Like that did not come from the devil. And so, but your actions of judging that as evil and then trying to correct that, I don't know if that came from a good place. I have a hard time believing it did. So
absolutely.
I don't know. So those are some of the takeaways that I had this week. Just wanted to get into that. I think we're running out of time. So I'm Hayden Holm, and this is Salty Saints.